ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 154 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in their world. And today I have the pleasure to interview the one and only Joy Atlas. And we're going to talk about the 3 steps to awesome health and endless energy. Now, if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, you know that the way you feel will determine a lot of the results that you will have. But also something that is not discussed enough is also that the way you look will determine some of the results that you will have in your life. Ask your partner, right? Or any girlfriend that you already had, or boyfriend or husband or wife that you ever had. And I think it's really important not to just feel great, but also to look great, because it will have a massive impact in every other area of our life in terms of our confidence, our self-esteem, our productivity. So in this interview, that's what we're going to talk about. But before I go into a bit more details, it's time to talk about the tool of the day. A tool of the day is something that I'm doing every now and then, where I share with you something that I use that makes a huge difference in my business or in my life. And because today we are talking about fitness, you know that I love my apps. If you're like me, maybe you love your apps too. And I love my iPhone apps. And there is one app that I use, which is a training app, a personal training app, which is called Fitivity, which is Fitivity, Fitivity. And what Fitivity does, it gives you can choose different plans and you can select it off. Literally thousands of different workouts that go from normal workouts, from yoga to gym workouts, to strength, to conditioning, to stamina workouts, and going very specific also sports workouts. So you can choose football workouts. The one I'm using, as you might know, I play basketball, is the basketball workout. And it's pretty cool because also you have the structure that you have music that plays in the background, badass music plays in the background, and an instructor that tells you what to do. So I absolutely love it. It's a paid app. There is also a free version of the account. I would think that the paid version is really is a no-brainer if you are into fitness or you want to get into fitness. So that's something. It's called Fitivity. There is no affiliate link with this app, so you can click on the link in the show notes and get started today with your app. And in particular, you can implement all that we discussed with Joy. So getting back to Joy, is an exercise. Joy Atlas is an exercise physiologist, inventor, and private fitness coach. And joining us today to help you reach your best level of health in a body you love by sharing his personal story of defeating his food codependencies issue and self-image insecurities to reach his best levels of health and fit-looking body as a bonus. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching the video on our website, then you will see the moment where he's gonna show his abs. So, ladies, you will absolutely love that part. So don't just listen on the podcast, jump on YouTube or on our website where you can see how hot Joy Atlas is. And in this episode with Joy, we talk about how better health and fitness makes you more successful and makes you more money, the 2 best shortcuts to drop excess body fat and tone up in a short amount of time. And I asked him as well, what are the top 3 foods that he always has in his cupboard, and the top 3 body weights exercise. So you're going to love those 2. You can read the transcript of the interview and also get bonus resources on our website at www.gtex.org.uk/episode -154. And also you can connect with the Joy with all the social media links here on the show notes. Now, if you want to become awesome at selling from the stage, you want to get clients from presentations, from webinars, from seminars, then make sure you download our Ultimate Selling from the Stage checklist, which is the ultimate checklist to help you create presentation that sells without selling in a sleazy or manipulative way. Now, there is the link as well here in the show notes, or what am I talking about? That's what happens after like 6 hours of recording. You start mixing up words. If you want to receive daily support in your coaching and speaking business, join our private Facebook group, Explode Your Expert Biz. Joey Atlas will be there in the Facebook group, so make sure that you connect there with him, where you can ask him any question. As well, if you haven't subscribed to our show, subscribe right now. Leave us a review. It's really important to us. Really, really important. If you want to support the show in any way, because you love the sound of my voice, or you just maybe hate the sound of my voice, but you love the guests that we have, I don't really care much. Just subscribe, please, 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 and leave us an amazing review saying how much you love this show. It will help us massively. And if you have any questions, suggestion, you want to recommend a guest, you want to be considered to become a guest, send me an email at simone@gtex.org.uk. It comes straight into my inbox. Without further ado, it's time to hear it from Joey Atlas, the 3 steps to awesome health and endless energy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz show. I'm here with the one and only Joey Atlas. How you doing, Joey?
Excellent. Thank you, Simone.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Where are you based? I forgot to ask you, Joey.
So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in the suburbs of New York City in Westchester County, and then moved to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, northeastern Florida in 1999, and that's where I've been ever since.
Oh, wow. Well, I've heard only good things about Florida, so I can understand why you stopped there. I've been to New York. I was in New York recently. It was a few months ago, and I played basketball, and
nice.
I love playing basketball, playing at a professional level, and I managed to play in a place called The Cage in Manhattan.
Right.
Which is more, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's small.
It draws big crowds.
Absolutely. So for me, it was like a childhood dream come true, going to Manhattan and playing The Cage. But we're not talking about basketball today. We're talking about something which is related to it, which is health and fitness. So I know that a big part of your mission from the conversation that we had before was about helping people becoming healthy in what they do, in particular working with a lot of entrepreneurs. And the question I want to ask you is, what's your story? How did you end up doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah, awesome question. So when I was really young, so we're going back to the early 70s, there weren't many people working out or exercising back in the early 70s. But my father was one of those people who did work out. And because myself and my younger brother and sister, we were young, he would usually work out at home because it was just the easiest thing to do at the time, usually, especially on the weekends. And so I got to observe my father working out around the house. And he was a master carpenter, so he would build certain things, and he would make things in the doorway, and he would put these devices together to use so that he could work out his whole body using mostly just body weight and some bands and some light dumbbells. But the way he did things was very unique, and I picked up on that by watching. And my father was short like me. He was 5'2", but he was built like an anvil. And even though he was short and a very, very gentle man, people were afraid of him. My friends used to be afraid of him because he looked like Ivan Putski from back in the wrestling, the early wrestling days of WWF. So he had arms that were just like, huge, and people they would be so respectful of him and well behaved around him. And so I got to see this, how people respected him because of how he took care of himself, how he looked. And I also observed that he was always happier. He was always more productive. He was always able to do things that other people couldn't do. He was always the person people asked for help. He was always the one who complained hardly at all because he always felt good. He never had really any aches and pains that regular people have because they're deconditioned. So at a young age, I saw how different he was. And I also saw his friends. His friends were just like him. The people that he would work out with sometimes. When I got a little older, I would be able to go to the gym with him and meet these new people. And they were all healthy, strong, fit. They had more energy. They were very productive. Their life was good. And I liked being around these people. And I knew I wanted to be like my dad and all these people because that's how I wanted to live my life. So that set me on the early path. I started training in my young teens, ended up going to college for exercise physiology, got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in exercise physiology. I started my own personal training business out of college, and that was up in New York. And things grew from there. I was, doing regular personal training, got really busy, but the types of people I was training were very, very high-end people, business people, entrepreneurs, company owners, the partners and the spouses of these people. And so instead of being like a gym or a YMCA type trainer, I was more of a high-level trainer. And because of the types of people I was working with were very, very wealthy and successful, they might have 3 houses around the world. They might have a vacation house on the lake and a house in Europe or a yacht. And so some of them would ask me, we're going away for 2 months to work from, the other location. What am I going to do by not having you? So eventually what happened was I started reducing my client load and I started traveling with some clients. Now, they would pay a very high premium to have me leave home for a month or 2 at a time, or to go on location for a week to get them set up, make sure they have everything they need, and then be able to talk by phone with them to make sure they're staying on schedule and answer their questions and check in with them to keep them accountable. Mm-hmm. So I got into that realm of higher end fitness coaching and personal training, and it just so happened to be that these high earners were also business owners and entrepreneurs for the most part. So it was a very different paradigm that I was working in. And I really enjoyed that because we got rid of so many obstacles. They would tell me, hey, we're buying a new vacation house. Can you design the gym room and then make sure we have all the right stuff so that when you train us, you have everything in there you need for us, right? So that developed for a while. And then, of course, into adulthood, started having kids, and I couldn't do that as much anymore. And at the same time, when it was time to start backing off of all the travel, it was time to move to Florida. And so I moved to Florida and then opened my own location, my own studio where clients would come to. I still did some high-end road trips for certain clients, but it wasn't as frequent because my kids were younger and I wanted to be around to help raise them. So the studio got busier, and the problem was everybody wanted me, and I was burning out. I was working from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, and it was a trainer's blessing, but it was my curse. I had all the clients I could ever want, but I was trading hours for dollars. And I really couldn't leave much to do the on-location training because my kids were in school. I wanted to be around for them a lot, to experience everything and help raise them. So eventually I decided, okay, I need to change this. I need to help people around the world, but I need to do it differently. So this was maybe 2005 or 2006. I started recording my own DVDs in the studio. Mm-hmm. I had a high school kid. I hired a high school kid to work the camera.
So you started doing a kind of info product.
Exactly.
You were kind of like a Sean T. doing. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yes. And so my methods of training they were always very different from the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had a lot of clients, and that's why I had a lot of people willing to
How
pay.
were they different?
So most people take like a high intensity, a hardcore, push, push, push kind of approach, right? More is better, heavier is better, high intensity is better, push harder to get more results. Well, for me, I was seeing that a lot of people, they were either getting hurt
Mm-hmm.
or they would quit after a few weeks or a few months.
Because
There's only
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Only a small percentage of fitness fanatics and professionals can stick to that method because they have something up here that makes them want to do it. And that's fine. I have nothing against that. But that's not my kind of life. And the majority of people who need real help, that's not their kind of life.
Yeah.
So I started taking the gentler approach, the more body weight and accessory focused approach that I used to see my dad doing at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I just started developing it more and more because now I had the exercise physiology background. So that's why I had a lot of clients, because my approach was gentle. It was different. It was unique. It was effective. And they liked coming back. And that was one of the secret sauces, because the more they came back, the more results they would get.
Now, I'm a bit of a fitness fanatic myself. As I said before, I play basketball at professional level in the 4th division in the National UK League, and I'm always going to the gym. It's something that has been a big part of my life. Well, I've always did some kind of sport since I was like 9 or 10 years old. But still started going to the gym from the 21, 22-year-old. And I found that personally, I remember having the workout where today you just have to work out your shoulders. And then you just 15 freaking shoulders exercise. And then for the next 3 days, I couldn't move my shoulders. And then, so right now, even when I'm going to the gym, I'm always exercise all my body. So I'm doing some legs, I'm doing some shoulders, I'm going some chest, I'm going some biceps. Nothing extreme, but it keeps me fit, and in particular, I found that it keeps me perform when I'm playing basketball, where I don't find that maybe I had a leg day and now I cannot run for 2 days
because can't move.
My legs can't move anymore
because they have to recuperate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good points you bring up, which we'll touch on. So that's part of why I started creating my different methods for real people, for people of the world, not for fanatics. And so the more I created the info products with my unique methods, the more people were loving them. And I was building my own websites. I was teaching myself internet marketing, and more sales started to develop around the world. And the people who bought my first programs, they started asking, what else do you have? What other programs do you have? I want more of your stuff because I love your approach. Mm-hmm. So I started made more websites. Eventually, my info product sales passed what I was doing in the studio in person. Mm-hmm. So I was able to shut the studio down and focus everything online. But I still had a few clients who, one, were very wealthy, and two, they would pay anything to keep me as their coach and trainer. So they said, you name the price, I can't have you stop working with me. I need you. You name the price, you come to my house, I'll pay anything. So I still had like 3 or 4 clients who were really willing to pay anything, and they did. And that actually helped the transition to go even deeper online by having those. So I made the full transition in about 2009 or 10 or 11. And so most of what I've been doing has been a combination of online info product sales and marketing development, and very select high-end consulting and coaching for high-level entrepreneurs who, A, realize they need to make themselves healthy, or their business is going to fail, or they're not going to be around to enjoy the profits. And two, they now have the financial means to hire a true expert who can help them on a good, healthy path to fitness that's sustainable for life. So that's a mixture of what I'm doing now and where we're at now.
That's pretty cool. So we've already mentioned about the importance of through the story of what you were saying with your dad, that if he was more productive, he was happier. So, and I think that probably we all know by now that exercise is not just having a good looking body, has a much deeper effect in other in almost every other area,
Every aspect of your life.
Of our life. So we assume that people know that. So with this assumption, now I want to talk about, before we move into the business part, which is about what you do right now to grow your business. Before we move into that, I'm curious about what do you find to be like, because there are so many misconceptions right now in the health and fitness industry. I mean, everyone has their own method, everyone has their own methodology, everyone says this is the thing that you should do right now. And I personally don't believe in this is the path, this is the Bible.
Right.
I think that there are some principle that works. So what is something that you have found for yourself and for your clients, which is the one that works the most, that gives the best results?
Yeah, so great question. And I've done everything. Like, I used to be hardcore. I used to lift heavy weights. I used to compete. I've done it all, and I've also been really, really out of shape and unhealthy. There were a couple times in my life that I went through some really bad times, depressing times, challenging times. 2 divorces. Was technically homeless for over a year and 3 months, living in my personal training studio. And I got really out of shape, let myself go. My whole body was hurting. My medical profile was getting really, really bad, and that scared me when I really saw the numbers on the inside. But what I found was, over time and going through those experiences, that as regular people, if you can simplify something and simplify it in a way that not only makes it enjoyable, but makes it sustainable and doable on a consistent basis, then that tends to bring results, because you're not quitting at any point. You're continuing. So to simplify things, I started really making the main focus of all of my training, and the training that I was doing with clients, whether they were local or high-end long distance, was body weight training. And so with the focus, the foundational focus being body weight training.
Why body weight? Why body weight?
Body weight, because most of it was misunderstood. When you say body weight training, most average people think of push-ups, pull-ups, some dips, and maybe some lunges, right? And then they stop there.
Yeah. You can put a squat in there, but then that's it.
Right. So, to the average person, even the average fitness professional, they think, well, to have the right program, you need all the equipment so you can do all these different exercises, and you can add more weight, and you can add chains and this and that. The truth is, that's not simplification. That's complication.
Yeah.
Right? And when you complicate things like that, the average person gets disconnected. And at some point, they disconnect completely from the approach. So I found that focusing on first body weight training and developing all different kinds of exercises and variations that can work all the different muscles of the body, all of them, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, right? This is where the craft and the skill and the art and the science blend together to help a wide variety of people, not just advanced people who can do certain moves. So I found that having the body weight training as a foundation, and then adding in good resistance bands, light dumbbells that could, when I say light, it might be 3 pounds, it might go up to 50 pounds. For me, 50 pounds is light on some certain exercises, but I don't even touch those a lot anymore. Medicine balls, and then maybe a mat. So simplification, focused on body weight, and then adding certain things in to create a synergistic effect has brought the most results to me. I'm in the best shape of my life at 48 years old. I go to the beach and guys and girls half my age see the washboard abs and like, man, you got a gray goatee, but your body's like you're 25 years old. How do you do it, right? And so it's really not complicated. And so for clients, for people I'm teaching and coaching, and for the people that my team at the studio is coaching, because I have another studio now where I have a team coaching, it's simplification. When you simplify it, make it enjoyable, those people want to keep coming back because they have something that's not killing them anymore.
Yeah. Well, talking about body weight, what are your top 3 body weight exercise? If you have to pick like the Hall of Famer body weight exercise that you would say, do this, you're
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah. It's going to be a little different for a beginner than it would be for somebody advanced, right? So let's say advanced,
Right.
right? Let's
Okay, can
say,
you pick intermediate?
okay,
Let's pick
intermediate.
intermediate, so we have like a middle way.
Perfect. So for intermediate, one move is going to be the reverse curl pull up or chin up.
Yeah.
So you get your hands reversed, right? You got the bar above you. And if intermediate, if you can't do it by yourself, then somebody spots you from your ankles, okay? So you're pulling up. So now you're working the biceps, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're also working all of the back muscles as well in the upper body. So you're working multiple groups at the same time. So that's one.
Cool.
The other one is the slow step down. So you find a step that's about knee high, right? And what you do is, instead of jumping up and down fast or stepping up and down fast, you step up and down with one leg slowly first.
I see.
Slow touchdown, slow coming up. So that, number one, you remove momentum. And when you remove momentum, the muscle fibers have to do more of the work.
Yeah,
because
yeah. I can feel the burn already. I can feel the burn just thinking about it.
Exactly. So, and the other move, we have probably a dozen plank variations,
Right.
for the abs and core. So intermediate, I would say, instead of a static plank, go to a plank for repetitions. So you're basically in the totally relaxed position with your belly on the floor, ready to do a plank. You slowly go into that plank position. You contract the abs and you hold it for 2 seconds. Then you come down very slowly to the starting position where your belly touches the mat again, and then you go up again. So planks, slow controlled planks for repetitions, is an awesome ab and core and plank exercise that works everything in the core, but it's a variation that's not, people don't normally think about. You think of getting in a plank.
No, exactly. I'm generally, I do my plank and I stay my 2 minutes on my plank.
Right.
I think I got my plank. It was when I used to go to the gym. I had a period where I was fanatic, and in that one, I think I held my plank for about 6 minutes. And that was the longest I've ever done. Now about like 2.5 minutes, I'm feeling it. I'm like, when you do the ugly faces, because I'm aware I don't want to hurt my back for that.
Yes.
But,
So
I'm
try
actually,
the repetitions.
Well, I'm going to the gym this evening, so I'm definitely going to do, because those exercises. I'm always doing at home the reverse pull ups. So that one is ticked, but the other two, I don't do them. So I'm definitely going to do them. So
Perfect.
now let's move to nutrition, because in terms of the we need to simplify the exercises, but then we need to simplify also our nutrition, right? Because they work together. You cannot exercise like crazy and then you go to McDonald's every day. I don't know if that's gonna work very well. And so, in terms of nutrition, what are 3 types of food that are never missing from your cupboards?
Yeah, awesome question. We could talk about this for days.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's why I said 3.
Yeah. So, but also the psychology of nutrition, like the psychology of society. People don't even realize how brainwashed they are, and how much influence comes into the brain from their surroundings and the messaging. So that's a real knowing what your choices should be is one thing. But then having the mental capability of making those choices daily is another thing. So, but I'll give you those 3 examples that are in my kitchen. One of them is, I got a lot of them. Chia seeds. Okay. Why? Because you can add them to almost anything. From salads to veggie stir fry to cereal. Even to if you're sautéing vegetables, you can make a salad dressing with them. You can even put them in a shake if you like shakes. You can make a healthy pudding and put some of those in. So they're full of fiber. They have protein. They make you feel full, right? and they help your health profile. They actually make your health profile better. So you've got the fiber, you've got the protein, you've got some fats in those. They add a good texture to any foods you're making. They fill you up and satisfy you in combination with the other foods you're eating. They absorb water, and they have lots of good nutrients in them. So that's one. The other is, believe it or not, mixed nuts. Mixed nuts are one of nature's gifts to us. They've got healthy fats. They've got healthy proteins. They've got healthy fiber. They taste fantastic.
Yeah.
They travel well. So when I travel, if I'm going on a consulting trip, I make sure I pack some of the most important things with me, not for when I get to where I'm going. Like, that's easy. The challenge is traveling through airports and then stayovers and things like that, right? You could find yourself, most airports have good stuff now, but there's always the chance that, some place doesn't have it, or it's a late time or whatever. So mixed nuts is one of the staples I have around the house and that I travel with.
Yeah.
Even going to the beach, if we're going to the beach for half a day, mixed nuts is one of the main foods that I travel with.
Perfect.
And the other one, let me think of a really good one here. Would a beverage count as a food?
Yeah, go for it, man. It's
right,
your kitchen.
So growing up old school Italian, there was always fresh espresso being made on the stove with the old fashioned pots.
Yeah, I missed those ones.
Right. So while I loved the smell as a kid, loved the smell of espresso and the coffee, I didn't like the taste. So I would have it sometimes if I was allowed to put a lot of sugar in it, then I would have it. Then I didn't have any for a long time. But then when I got into adulthood, my early 20s, I really got into good coffees and espresso. And that smell started triggering memories.
My God, yes.
Right. So one of my daily staples is 3 shots of organic espresso. And I mix that with almond milk, cocoa powder, stevia, and a little bit of coconut sugar.
Yes.
That's every day. Every day.
Yeah.
And I do that at around, believe it or not, I don't do it early in the morning. I do that at around noon.
Right.
Because most of the morning I do like a fast.
I do intermittent fasting too.
And I used to do this long ago when I was competing in the bodybuilding competitions. It didn't have a name. It's just what we did.
Now is intermittent fasting, and is the thing. Now is the thing. Right.
I've been doing it for 30 years. Now it has a name. There
might be some people that don't know what intermittent, without going into the details. There are some people that don't know what intermittent fasting is. So can you just give a brief explanation around that?
Absolutely. Intermittent fasting is giving your body a break from adding calories into it, okay, so that you let the body get back to where it wants to be. It's finished all of its digestion. You're giving the digestive system and the hormone system a rest and allowing it to focus on just regenerating itself, get to a place of internal calm, clear it out, and let your body burn fat. You can't. Your body burns fat so much more easily if you don't put any foods and calories into it for an extra extended period of time. So I am not a big believer in this traditional breakfast type thing where, you got to eat breakfast, otherwise you're going to ruin your day if you don't eat breakfast. For many of us, it's actually the opposite. Like eating a traditional, well-rounded breakfast makes you feel sluggish in the morning. It makes you feel hungry in 2 hours. You got to eat again already, right? And so you're setting yourself up for too many calories, especially carbohydrates. You're not able to think clearly. And so by pushing your breakfast to a later time, you're not necessarily skipping breakfast. You're actually just pushing it later toward 11 or 12 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. So you're pushing it another 4 or 5 hours. And so if you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and then you don't eat or consume any kind of calories until 11 or 12 o'clock, you've done intermittent fasting, and everybody has their own exact time ranges that work for them. It might be an hour more here, an hour less there. But for me, I go all morning. Basically, I just drink some black tea. This is what I have now.
Right.
There's no calories in black tea, and I put a little bit of organic stevia in it, which is an herbal sweetener with no calories. And before I know it, like doing this stuff with you, the podcast, I do other podcasts, I do my own podcast.
It passes so fast. The time goes so fast. It's already 12.
Right. I might do like a long distance private coaching call on Skype or Zoom. And I might be a little bit hungry, but it's not the kind of hunger that most people makes most people want to eat right away and grab stuff. It's kind of like, for me, it feels like my body's burning fat, which it is. I mean, I'll show you. It's, look.
Yeah, check this out, guys. If you're listening to the podcast right now, go on YouTube, check the video, because now he's showing off. So he's showing his abs.
It's an 8-pack, and I'm not young. I'm 48.
Yeah, man.
And I used to struggle to be in this kind of shape when I wasn't competing. So what I did was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I was in my early 40s, and I was really struggling with my food codependency because I had food issues. I went through some really bad emotional eating periods, codependencies, and I remembered, all right, the things that used to work when I was doing the bodybuilding competitions, one of those was not eating until midday. And so these days, like you and I just said, they call it intermittent fasting, and some people swear by it, which is great. It should work for most people. Yeah. But you have to ease into it if you haven't been doing it. So now, that's just the way I live. Like, I don't even consider it intermittent fasting. It's my eating and calorie intake habits that work for my body, that make me feel awesome. Now, here's the big thing. Check this out. 5 years ago, when I started doing the quote-unquote intermittent fasting, which is basically just not having my big magical espresso coffee drink until noon, those are my first calories. From 2013, 14, 15, let's see, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. For the last 4 years, my medical health profile, all the numbers have improved steadily year after year. So I'm talking blood pressure, resting heart rate, all of my cholesterol numbers, total cholesterol, highs and lows, and the ratio, which is the most important. All of those have been getting better and better. My triglycerides and glucose have gotten better. So for me, not only has it made me feel incredible, but make me more productive, give me crazy amounts of energy, and taken off the excess body fat without even having to do more working out or cardio. It's made my internal health even better. And there are probably things that we can't even see in all the blood tests and the numbers
on a cellular level and on the level.
And I trust that fully, knowing what we learned in exercise physiology, how the body processes everything we put into it. I know on a cellular level that I'm better off this way than any other way, and so it just makes all the sense in the world to do it.
I can relate with what you were saying, because I went through a lot of eating issues myself when I was in my 20s. I mean, I'm still in my 20s. I'm still 29 for a few months. But when I was 22 to 27, and I went through anorexia, then bulimia, then massive overeating. So actually, my solution was going to Overeaters Anonymous, which is the Overeaters Anonymous version of the Alcoholic Anonymous.
Right.
I don't know if you have that in the US. Probably you guys do too. And that was a big help for me in that process. And and when you said now it's just a part of how I live, I mean, I'm vegan now, and I've been vegan for about like 6 years. And before I was an unhealthy vegan. Now I stabilize. I eat healthy stuff. And when people ask me why you vegan, I'm like I forgot. I mean, that's how I am. I'm vegan. What do you
Right.
mean? Why am I vegan? Why are you even asking?
Right.
It's like
It's not even a label to you anymore. It's just
exactly.
it's how you eat.
That's how I live. Why don't you have breakfast? Because I don't want to. So
Right.
now when people ask me why are you vegan, because I don't want to eat meat. It's like
Easy.
it's
Simple.
like I cut the conversation. I don't even have to go into the area.
And
Where do you get your protein? Oh my God! Say it one more time. I'll punch you in the face. It's like oh
yeah.
this guy. Anyway, so there is this kind of things. I love this conversation because we had it's a topic which really fascinates me. So thank you very
Yes.
much for that.
Yeah. My pleasure. My
Now
pleasure.
let's transition into more business stuff.
Okay.
And now, what is one thing that you are doing right now in your business, or a tool that you're using, or a methodology that you found out about maybe sales marketing processes, something that right now makes the entire difference for where you are right now, not where you were before, where you are right now in
Mhm.
your business?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Couple of different answers to this, but I'm going to give you one that's probably the most powerful. So I started doing the info products back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and internet marketing was relatively easy back then. And because I had a unique offering and the unique presence, and even when I spoke and the things I wrote about were very different than what other people were putting out there, it started to draw a lot of different people to me. So not only did they buy my programs, but they were also signing up for my free newsletters, subscribing to my videos. Um, they were just getting attracted to me, and people were sharing my stuff. So not only did I develop a large audience of people who have purchased my programs, but I also developed a large email list, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a communicator, and it's being a communicator and a listener to subtle details and picking up on those is what has allowed me to help people even more. So I always read emails that were coming in because it allowed me to really understand who these people are, why they like what they bought from me, or why they like reading my free stuff or using my free materials. And I also started listening to what else do they want,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because somebody might buy a $50 or $70 program from me and love it, but I may not know who that person is.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it could very well be that that person comes from a wealthy family, or they're a very successful business owner, and their financial means would allow them to buy even more from me if I had it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example. There were some people, and I didn't know before I started getting into the higher level long distance coaching and training, they'd be willing to pay thousands of dollars to have me be the person that guides them and that they can ask questions directly to for my specific advice.
Right.
Not just any general fitness trainer or certified weekend trainer, but me, right? And so but I wouldn't know this if I wasn't doing email communication back and forth, really getting to know these people on the other end. So having those email conversations really allowed me to find out what different people want from me that I'm not offering yet, right? So how do they know they can get it if I'm not offering it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have more of those conversations. I would make notes, and I would see what are the percentages looking like. Are there several people asking me for high-end products or high-end direct access and coaching and consulting? Are there people who want lower-end products, several times a month? Are they willing to pay for that? Or are there people that want something in between? Or are there people who want actual events where they can come to and have an in-person experience with other people who are like-minded, and they want to be with me and my coaches at the studio for a 3-day experience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I wouldn't know this if I wasn't reading those emails and being open to communicating with them. And at times I would even say, hey, listen, I would love to talk to you by phone or by Skype so that I could see what it is I can help you more with, what your current challenges are, and hear more about the awesome progress you've been making with my program. Because a lot of these conversations would be triggered by testimonials that were sent in voluntarily. I would read them. I'd say, oh, man, this is an awesome story. So I'm going to ask them if I could talk to them more about it to get the details that they thought they didn't have to talk about. Then I would also turn that into a case study for marketing. So several things here. All testimonials and success stories, I look to turn those into case studies to share on my blogs, on video, wherever they could be shared, social media. But I also ask people for their permission first. And I usually reach out to see if we can talk more and even record it, or they can answer a questionnaire to get more details that they may not have included. So those conversations have triggered more and more marketing material of proof, and they've helped me develop my higher end offerings and the full menu that I could offer different types of people who have different means of spending and different needs and desires, but they want me to fulfill them or my team to help fulfill them via the studio experience.
And you know what? It sounds something very simple. It's like
it is.
Ask a couple of questions to your clients.
That's
hey,
it. Have a conversation.
But how many
with a
people
real
don't do
person.
that? How many people don't have a freaking clue about what their clients want and don't spend time to communicate with them? It's insane.
Most don't. So let me tell you something that has resulted from this.
Right.
So number one, I've gotten a lot of high-end coaching and consulting clients. Some simply do it with me via Zoom and Skype. Some actually have me come out to either their home or their vacation home for a couple of days. We get things set up, and then we do long distance, and I'll visit them every now and again. But here's the big one. When I started moving away from the traditional heavyweight training and the hardcore stuff and focusing more on the body weight training, I was starting to do all of it on playgrounds, because playgrounds give you just this awesome variety of ways to train the body if you know how to use a playground and how your body can move on the playground. So I started doing most of my training on playgrounds. It was really helpful for when I was traveling, and in between stops, I would find a playground. It really gave me no limits. There were no limits anymore. And so the more I trained on all these different playgrounds, the more I was able to develop these various types of programs, not just for me, but for different types of people.
Yeah.
And so I had some clients who were back home with me where we would train on playgrounds when the weather was good. If it was too hot or if it was raining hard, we couldn't do it. Eventually, they started asking me, hey, what if you made one machine that allowed us to do all this stuff we do on all these playgrounds, but we can do it indoors on one machine? And I was already starting to think about that as things were progressing. So I designed the machine. I had some engineers help me refine the design and then build it. And I only did it for me and the 2 or 3 local clients I was training at the time. And then if friends came over or family visited, they would train with me. Everybody was like, man, this is awesome. How did you think of this, And so then I started sharing video clips of my workouts and some of the people I was training on video of the machine back around like 10 years ago. And so my online customers and followers, they were asking, where did you get that? Like where can I get one, right? And so I started thinking, oh, wow, I might be able to sell these to people so that they can do this too. But at the time, again, I was going through some challenging periods. I wasn't in a financial position to make a lot of them and try to start selling them. But it was always an idea. So fast forward, 2012, 13, and 14, some of my programs went viral on the internet. And a lot of affiliates started selling my top programs, and basically put me in a very different position financially. I was able to do things that I wasn't able to do before that. So one of those things was to further develop the machine, to make it so that I could commercialize it and start selling it to the people who've been asking for it, and then sell it to other people as a total all-in-one solution for whole families. And so that's what I did. By listening to them, and hearing what they were asking about on the materials and the videos I was sharing about the machine, I realized not only is a certain segment of my customer and prospect list want to buy these machines, but there's probably a lot of other people who would want to buy it if they could see it in action, see what it has done for me, see how I train my kids and other clients on it. There's probably a lot of other people who'd rather buy this instead of the Bowflex or a Total Gym or something else because it's far superior and it works for everybody's fitness levels and their needs, and it lasts a lifetime. So actually, if you're on video and you want to see it, I have the one at home right here.
Is that one? Yeah.
See that in the background.
Yeah.
This is one of the most latest versions I built before we decided to go on Kickstarter and launch a bunch of. So that's the one I have here. We have a bunch of them at the studio down the road where we do classes, circuit training classes and personal training. I have a team that does that. But now this is the version we've launched on Kickstarter, and today is the last day. June 5th, 2018, is the closing Kickstarter day. So we reached over 100% of funding.
Nice.
So
how much were you raising? If you remind me.
No, absolutely. It's all public. The goal was to raise $32,000 so that I could do my first production run of 20 something machines.
Yep.
And we hit that. And most of the buyers were people who have bought, $50 DVDs from me or have been on my subscribers. Those were all the supporters. These are the people who funded the success of this project. Now we get to launch it to the world because we reached funding.
That's I think this is a great story about the power of building a community and engaging with that community over and over and over again. And is a massive focus that every person who's listening to the show needs to have, because I remember the best business advice I've ever been given was from this Hungarian guy with an organic food shop that said to me, build the community first and the community will build your business.
Absolutely.
And that's what you've been doing. I'm curious, how much are you selling one of these?
So what we're doing is we launched with the commercial grade unit that we use in the studio and that trainers and fitness professionals can use. We launched with the professional grade unit for end users at home at 60% off retail. So instead of $4,998, they can get it for $1,998.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's a good deal. That's a really good deal.
My friends are like, you're crazy. That's a giveaway. This thing is, I said, well, it's a Kickstarter launch. Then after that, we're gonna create our regular pricing plan. We're still gonna have good deals, but it's not gonna be as low as Kickstarter, which is almost like a giveaway, because the whole family can use it. So I never would have been here launching this successfully if I wasn't listening to my customers for the last, however many years, 12 years, communicating with them and sharing my journey with them. My content has been my journey, not just sharing workout tips and fitness tips, but showing me on video just training, or showing them training. I'm training somebody else, or taking one of my kids through a training session, but also sharing all the steps that I've been taking to try and help them. So them just watching the journey, being a part of it, and also feeling like they've been a positive influence because I've been in communication with a lot of them. They've naturally been ready to support it and buy it because they see that this guy's real, his stuff works, and that's what I want to do and be. I want to be successful in health and fitness like this guy, so I'm going to buy it. They've seen how much money I've spent. I've spent so much money to develop these to the point they're at now. People know this guy has risked his whole life and all the success he had in the recent years. He's rolled it all. He put it all on the table to try to make this thing really big. But it's not about the money. I'm not doing any of this because I want to be, rich and go sit on the beach and smoke and drink. I'm doing this because it's my pure passion to help people with a better solution. The money's going to come because of how successful it's going to be, but that's not my main motivator. My main motivator is I want almost every house to have one of these. I want people to have access to what saved my life. That's it.
Joy, it's been an absolute great interview. I mean, generally my interviews are about 30 minutes, and we've been going on for almost 50 minutes. And
Wow.
so that's a sign which is really good interview. And
Awesome.
very selfishly, I was asking a question and I was really interested. That's I think what makes also a great show in my opinion, because
Absolutely.
the topic was put on for me. I was like, I was looking forward to interview you for this reason. So if
Thank
people
you.
want to get before we wrap up, if people want to get in touch with you, where is the best place where they can find you?
Yeah, so great question, and thank you for sharing this. They could just go to the main website, which is www.myname, which is joeyatlas.com, joeyatlas.com. And from there, they'll find all my social media links at the bottom. If they want to connect with me on Facebook or Instagram, my YouTube channel has a lot of great videos. I've got a lot of free videos on the main website there. The blog is great. I've got a video channel blog on there, and I've got a free program they can all sign up for that'll help them for at least 2 weeks, and they can keep repeating the program. It's one video a day. They could follow at home, at the office, or while traveling, and it's some of my best stuff. It really is. At minimum, it'll get people started. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. These are all co-ed. And even if you're a beginner, you'll still be able to do some of the moves in the video. So I look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to reach out and connect.
That's perfect. So we'll put the link in the show notes. Make sure you scroll down if you're listening to your podcasting app, or if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be the links in the description. If you're watching this on our website, just scroll down. All the links are, or listening on our website, all the links are there. Joey, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Simone. I appreciate it. And this was a great one. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Matt. I really enjoyed it too. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening or watching another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz show. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe right now. What are you waiting for? Such a great interview. And we have more and more to come with our 3 weekly episodes that we deliver for you. And then leave us a review. Remember, reviews are the lifeblood of a podcast. So if you like what you heard today, please leave us a review, because it means that more people then are going to see the content that we share, and you know how much time and effort and energy we put into that. So it will be incredibly appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. And before we leave, remember that together we grow exponentially. I'll see you next time. Ciao.